Welcome back, everybody, to the Halo podcast. I am your host, Noe, the media marketing director for Halo for this school year. And I'm so glad for you guys tuning back into the podcast. We're really going to get into it in this next topic. I feel like this is something that we should all talk about and always something that we should just be aware of because it's something we deal with every day and we see people deal with every day. And, not much people talk about it. And maybe we should get into a bit why that is. But I am not the only one here today. I also have the secretary of Halo, the organization. She is a senior coming up in this school year. She will be. She is. Oh, what am I saying? And so this is Rosa Estrada Ramirez. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said that right.
Pretty close. Rosa Estrada Ramirez.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to the podcast. Rosa, how are you feeling today? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. Yes, so I'm glad that you were able to join me today. But nonetheless, we're going to get right into it. But before we do, Rosa, I want to see, how's your day so far? How you been? What's going on?
It's been good. Honestly, a little nerve-wracking having to do this, but, I'm excited.
Yes, that's good. It's good. I'm glad. Not glad that you're nervous, but I'm glad that you are here. It's okay to be nervous. This is not nothing, too hard that we have to do. We're just here to talk and just, have a good time, vibe it out,
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I want to ask you is because mental health is a topic that we're going to talk about for today, right? Because that's something that we all, have went through, struggled with, and maybe not talked enough. In your opinion, what do you think about it in general, mental health? Do you think it's, talked about enough or not talked about, or, what do you think?
I think I'm seeing more people talk about it now, especially, compared to, in the past where it was more taboo, nobody really talked about it. But now we're seeing it more, and, even K-State's doing their K-State Pause, which is something they're trying out for the next 3 years, which is exciting, it's going to be, our mental health day, no school.
Really?
Yeah. So
never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's something new that's happening this year, and I'm excited for that day. Apparently, they're gonna be doing yoga and stuff. So.
Oh, okay. The only thing I knew was the therapist or counseling services that the Lafine offers. That's the only thing that I knew about that, which I didn't know. I haven't really heard anyone use it, so I didn't get to. I don't see it. You have. Okay, you have.
Yes,
okay, what did you? I mean, if you feel comfortable, was it helpful? Was it?
Yeah. So, a big reason too why I wanted to come today was to talk about Lafine and their services. Okay. Simply because I've been using them for 2 years, since my second semester here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I first started going to it because I started failing all my classes my first semester here. My mental was just not in check, and so after I failed my classes, I was assigned a case manager, and basically they kind of help you get your life together. And one thing that I was talking to her about was my mental is so bad, but I know about these services at Lafine, but I was too scared to go to them. I felt so much shame. And I feel a lot of Hispanics feel a lot of shame talking about their mental health. So she physically went with me to Lafine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was I just need someone to go with me.
Yeah.
And yeah, she went with me. We set up an appointment together, and then she was all right, you're going to go to your appointment. I'm going to leave you here, and we'll talk about it next time. And that's where I started my journey. I told them everything that I was going through, and they were yep. You need therapy. And yeah, I got individual therapy. I got set up with the Canvas anxiety workshop.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I also as going through therapy, I started going to group therapy as well. And so yeah, they've been great. I've really enjoyed working with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. I'm glad that worked out for you. But I think I can relate to you a lot when you said we Hispanics there's shame, right? And I think there's a little bit of like similarity in terms of that, because it's like as far as I know, remember, and what I heard from my friends and other people related to, that like, I mean, I guess for me, like, because like I'm a man, right? Like I feel like
Mhm.
men, especially in like Mexican households, or just in general, like in Hispanic households, like we are told to like, okay, like don't cry, like
Mhm.
don't, you're not supposed to show emotion. Like thinking about yourself is like shameless. And like I'm sure like it's not just like men too, but it's like they're really strong on that, like machismo, like that term, like
Yeah.
just being very present in the household. It just
Mhm.
rubs off on like the household, right? Not to just like the parents, but also like their children. And I definitely experienced that. And like definitely around when the pandemic hit, like yeah, I was really not in a good mental space, right? Because everybody
Mhm.
wasn't. Like the pandemic, COVID-19, 2020, that was hard for everybody.
Mhm.
And so, for the first time ever, I had to like just sit with my thoughts. And I was like, wow, like I'm isolated and like I don't know what to do. It's like,
Yeah, it's
it's really
scary.
strange. But eventually, like I kind of like, despite like how I was raised up with that, right? I kind of pushed forward and was like, okay, like I know, that this is what I was taught and to do, to think this certain way, but like this way of thinking, it doesn't work for me, and
Yeah.
so I seeked out counseling, and eventually, yeah, and then I was doing therapy, and it didn't take me until the third therapist I found, to where I found like
Mhm.
really good progress into the things I wanted to work at, and eventually, graduated from my last therapist. And yes, that's a thing, people, listeners, graduating from your therapist is a thing. And yeah, and then now that I'm talking about this, I wanted to keep this to myself actually, for a while, but no, I'm actually talking about it. I want to say it now in this episode, like me doing therapy, because yes, I have done it. Because again, it's like you said, Rosa, it's like people like feel like shame about like getting help, and I don't think there should be any shame in like having someone guidance, having able to like spend an hour with you like every week with no judgment and just hearing what you have to say, right? Because just as therapy is like a way to do it, it's a tool, right? Just as there's other ways to like manage like your mental health, like journaling, voice memos, and things like that. So in any case, if anyone's out there listening that feels that way, or maybe contemplating whether or not, because of like maybe the shame, the guilt of like, oh, like something, oh, he's doing therapy, oh, something's wrong with him. It's like there's no reason to think that way. 'Cause it's like as long as like you're doing it for yourself, I think that's what matters.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, have you ever used any other methods, Rosa, other than therapy? Like, have you ever done like journaling, voice memos, or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah. Journaling is the big one that I do. I've always
Okay.
like kept a journal since I was a kid.
Mm.
Um and I was more like present with it when I was younger, and now I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of have it when I have those days where I'm like I need to talk about this but I have no one to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like journal all my thoughts. And yeah, my therapist says that's a great tool to have.
Yeah.
And
Journaling is pretty good.
yeah, and like you don't even have to like always just like talk about your thoughts. Like, just like talk about whatever is on your mind. Like you might not even be going through something. You just don't want to talk about like things that make you happy at the moment or stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Just constantly journaling, writing things down has just been really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. Like journaling, like that's something that I also did. Well, now do, right now that I'm not doing therapy anymore. That's another way to do it. The thing is, like with me, like I try to journal like every day. Like, oh, I gotta journal every day, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
like I've seen like YouTube videos, like, oh, this is like different ways you can go about it. But it's just like, again, like I just try something that works for me. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't journal every day, but every now and then, like I'll do like an entry, like write something on my mind when I want to. But one other tool that I've been using a lot more these recently is voice memos. So like I just
Oh.
literally, like I have like a recording app on my phone. And I just literally just record talking to
Mm-hmm.
myself, which is really helpful because I can listen back to it. Because like me, the reason why I journal and like do voice memos, it's only for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to do it because I want to see how like my mentality changes over time, or like how far I have like progressed or become, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's just because I want to see like how much I improve with going things about what's currently going on with my life. So Yeah, journaling is another thing, but I think the main thing for me right now is voice memos. Um, but there's also other methods, like you could literally just like walk back and forth into your apartment, just talk to yourself. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, unless you have roommates, then they might look at you weird. Uh, but yeah, there's many more methods into just other than doing that, because just as doing journaling, like therapy is a tool. It's a tool for
Mhm.
everybody, and I think that people should just try it out. But of course, not everybody can afford to have accessible to it, because it's expensive if you don't have
Mhm.
insurance, for sure. Um, but definitely, I think people should try it and just see how it goes for them, because you never know how much progress you can make in a session. Um, but yes, so now we've talked about a little bit about our own experiences with that, but now we kind of want to get into, like, how do you think the people that we're surrounded by like feel it? Like, what do you think about like your friends, family, and like maybe coworkers, if you have? Like, do you feel like the people like around us think the same way, or do you think they think differently? Like, what do you think, Rosa?
Um, I would say they think differently. Like if I'm thinking about my family, um, I just think like they struggle too with their mental health, but they don't know how to get that help, or
Mm-hmm.
like maybe they don't trust therapists, and then that's like a deeper problem too, like having trust issues.
Right.
But too recently, I've been talking with my coworkers, and they're male, so
Mm-hmm.
they talk about their struggles as being males and how they feel that they don't have a support system in their life, and they would consider going to therapy as weak. And I'm
Mm.
like, no, therapy is the opposite as weak. That you're strong for wanting to help
Yeah.
yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think still, like, even though we've seen a lot of progress in, like, speaking about mental health, there's still people out there that are, like, they see it as taboo and, like, that's something you don't talk about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's sad to hear them, like, say, like, oh, they'll be fine. But you know that they're struggling with, like, some serious thoughts. And, you can only help people so much until
Mm-hmm.
they need to help themselves. So yeah, it's sad to see, but yeah. And then to bring it back with like family, I guess. Just being Hispanic is just hard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they understand. And I was like so ashamed to tell my own family about like the fact that I go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of straight up with my brother of like, oh, yeah, I'm starting therapy. When I started therapy, and
Mm-hmm.
he was cool with it. Like he didn't say anything about it, so I was like, okay, I feel good about this.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents, they didn't find out that I was going to therapy until like a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom straight up came to me and she was like, "Are you going to therapy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to therapy." And she was like, very supportive about it, which I was like shocked because like prior to
Mm-hmm.
that, like just growing up, I always struggled with like social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something they didn't really understand, I think. And there was definitely moments where like that social anxiety would like cause problems, like
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in 8th grade and having to give a speech at my parents' wedding, and like I physically felt like I couldn't do it. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
just so anxious and overwhelmed. And the parents, they do that thing where they're like screaming at you of like,
Mm.
what are you talking about? You can do this. Like go
Yeah.
do this. Um and yeah, so I don't know. As I'm growing up, I also see my parents are growing up and like
Mm.
they're more accepting about these kind of things. So yeah, I think people are just like they're growing, and I love that I'm seeing that in my family.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That has came up for you and your family. I think the older generation, because like a lot of like at least the people that I've known, and what I've seen, like a lot of people like immigrated into the U.S., right,
Hmm.
and so that must be like a hard thing that our parents like had to do, right? Because like
Hmm.
they, probably way back then was like a lot harder than it is now to do that, and maybe in the way that in the process of them doing that, they had to like build a mentality to where like there wasn't no time to like show emotion or like take time to
Hmm.
take time for yourself, because like they couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Because like they needed to like push forward, like no, I have to, do
Uh-huh.
this like for my family and so on and so forth, and
That's
then
yeah, that's
it rubs
just
off
it
on us.
like
Yeah,
reminds me like most of the time when they were growing up, they were just trying to survive.
yeah,
And we
yeah,
have more than that now. Like we're so lucky we live in the US. And like yes, we're also surviving, but we got other things too that we got to think about.
yeah,
And they I don't know, the way that I see it is that that was their priority. Like they forgot about their mental health and they had to survive first.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and then like to add on to like what you're saying there, because I think you mentioned earlier that about like them probably needing or seeking help, like older generations, so like maybe our
Hmm.
parents, because they also have things that they need to take care of. But again, it's just like, yeah, like that maybe from what their parents taught them, like guilt and shame, and it's like I think one of the hardest things that we have to come to realization is that like you can only help so much people. Like they can only be helped if they want help, right? And it's like, if you offer help and they don't accept it, I mean, it's up to them, right? That's all you
Hmm.
can do. All you
Yeah.
can do is just like let them know that if they need help, you're there for them, and if not, just just like, yeah, just check in on them, whenever you can, and just hope that they get better and seek out the help, because they are ones that are needing to do that, right? Like really get the help, because there's only so much we can do. um, yeah, and then yeah, because at least from what I've heard, aside like from, because we talked a little bit like what our family has been thinking about it, I think at least for my friends, people around my age, I feel like they are starting to realize this too, about like
Hmm.
like, okay, like this mentality that our parents taught us, like it doesn't work for us, right? Because like we're in different times, but
Hmm.
I can still see like, especially that they're like, oh, still kind of hesitant, and like, okay, like is somebody else talking about their health, like, oh, like maybe they're feeling down, but like because like they're out with dinner with their friends at the mall, like, oh, like I'm just gonna shut in or just like ignore my emotions and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I can see why people do that, because like they're in public, right? So like if your emotions come in public, like they might feel a bit maybe embarrassed, like to show those, um, which I totally get that. But I think they're slowly starting to understand of like, okay, so it's like this is a real thing. I need to think about this, and um, I need to work on it.
Hmm.
Because I have a friend that I talked to, and then like when he told me like, oh, I journal or write down, I was like, oh, that surprised me, because like I've never known anyone up until that point. I was like, oh, someone actually journals. Because I didn't know people also, at least the people that I knew, also used that method to use journaling to do those things, because it takes practice, because again, like at first journaling, you're writing down like just anything that comes in your mind, but then when you read what you wrote, you're like, it doesn't really make sense, which isn't supposed to make sense. It's like as long as like you have writing down like what you want like on the journaling page, then I think that's like what we can do with that. You can just do what you want with the journaling. But aside from like the people around us, like here locally, because we're currently here in Manhattan, Kansas, like what do you think, Rosa, like the people like outside of the state? Like what do you think people like maybe in California or in New York, like two different sides of the country, like do you think like they think the same way, or maybe because like those are like two different opposite sides of like the country, like maybe they have different ways of thinking? Like what do you think about that?
Huh. I don't know. I think what I see in social media, most people on either side are like also progressive in mental health. Like they understand it as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think people just in like bigger cities like understand what how like mental health affects your life.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know too much to speak about that.
Yeah, I mean, I asked that because, like, again, I always like to ask so many questions. I'm a very curious person, and it's like, just like me as an Hispanic growing up here in the Midwest, like, might be have different experience than someone
Hmm.
that grew up completely from California or New York. So it's like maybe I'm just like thinking like it's like maybe because they're in a different part of the country, like California, like I think of it like a hot climate, like maybe I don't know that because might be more things to do, like attractions, like they have like the beach, like maybe people over there, find more ways to deal with their mental health, right? Because
Mhm.
like maybe going to the beach is like a way to like de-stress and stuff like that, or
Mhm.
maybe somewhere in New York. Uh, I don't know any attractions in New York, but maybe for all I know, just like things over there that again I don't know of.
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. Yeah, maybe like people can still go on it, right? I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, okay. I don't know. For a second, I'm like, isn't it like closed down from years ago? No, but like, I think it's like, I think, I guess whenever it was first built, like, you could go to all the way to the top of like her head.
Mhm.
It's a her, right? Or like, is it?
Statue of Liberty.
It's a.
Yes.
Okay, okay,
I'm
okay.
gonna say it is.
Um, yeah, like I think I saw like somewhere on a post of like they showed like an old picture of Statue of Liberty, and it was like the last time that was accessible, like where the public can go up there. But it was like
Mm.
basically a view of like the top of the head, and you can see like a walkway. But I guess it's not open to the public anymore. Um,
Yeah, I have no idea about that.
yeah, but no, I mean I don't know. Maybe there are some other ways that people go about that into going ahead and finding different ways to do it. Like maybe dancing. Dancing could be a way, maybe.
True. Yes, that and also like anything that has to do with exercise. Like I know
Yeah.
people in California, they love to like Pilates.
Pilates, really? That's a thing?
Yes, yes, and then like yoga or like cycling.
Oh, okay.
So I hear that that's good for your mental health too, and I would agree. Like whenever I was going to the gym, I currently stopped, but when I was like, I feel like my mental was really good, and like not only that, obviously I was doing well physically. And I'm one of those
Mm-hmm.
people that like when I stress out, my hair falls out, and it was a time where my hair wasn't falling out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I like dancing, so maybe that's why after I dance, I say I know how to dance, but like I'm sure if like somebody a stranger just looked at me, they'll be like, "What the heck is he doing?" Um, no, but I mean at least up until like these like past year or so, I kind of just found interest of like wanting to learn how to dance. Like I
Mhm.
mean like I know how to dance like certain dance forms, but it's like for the most part, I just it's like I move my body to like the sound and the rhythm and beat, right? And then
Mhm.
that's just how I do it. Which I think it's how like how any dance should be, you know. But yeah, dancing like I think just exercising in general. It sounds like it's a great way to maintain your health because I mean, I try to be consistent in the gym, but like whenever I am and like I'm, done doing a workout like for the day, like I do feel um, good mentally because like it's like you worked on yourself, and then I think just like the action of doing it, like you're just tired out, and it's like oh okay, well your body's like all right, we need some rest.
Mhm.
Um, but no Pilates. I never done Pilates before. Is that like similar to yoga, or
It
is that something
it
different?
is similar to yoga. Like it's like you're doing stretches, except yoga is more like spiritual. So
Okay.
Pilates takes that away. It's just like exercising, I think.
Mm.
I'm not too. I'm not really like too into that. I did it like one class one time, and I was
Okay.
like, yeah, this is hard. But honestly, that's something else that I want to try out. But my mental health actually is affecting me from going because I
Mm-hmm.
have social anxiety, so I get nervous to do like things in public. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's something that I'm trying to like work myself up to do,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully I get to that point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I think exercising is a great way to maintain your health for sure. And not only that, but I'm sure like your diet, like that's another way too.
oh
Like maybe if
true.
you're, not eating well consistently, then I'm sure that also takes a toll on the mental health, right?
Mhm.
'Cause yeah, I mean, ideally, like you would want to eat like a pretty well balanced diet, but then I'm sure we all struggle with that.
Yeah, especially in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like I struggle with that personally, of like prioritizing to eat before I do things.
Mm-hmm.
But then I notice when I do eat like a good healthy meal, my brain is like more clear and I can focus better.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely eat breakfast.
Yes.
Healthiest
Yes.
meal of the day.
Eat food. Eat food. Well, no, not just any food. Like eat good food, like stuff like that. Cause, um, do you eat yogurt?
Yogurt.
Yeah.
I hear yogurt's really good, but I hate any milk products, so no.
Oh, okay, okay. But like, have you tried it before though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. What did you think of it? Last time you remember that you tried it, was it?
Honestly, hate it. Hate the
You
whole
hate it?
experience. Hate the texture of it.
Okay.
I don't even really like how it tastes, but
Okay.
I hear that it's really good for like your gut.
Yeah, like gut bacteria or something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think people are saying that like that's like the healthy version of ice cream or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? Frozen yogurt,
Frozen yogurt.
delicious.
Oh, you eat,
Yes,
eat that?
I will
Okay,
eat
okay.
that, yeah.
So frozen. Okay, that's your thing. Gotcha, gotcha. I have not had those like Go-Gurt frozen, like the ones you're talking about in like ages. Like I can't remember the last time. Like my mom like used to buy them a lot when I was back in her place. But I don't know. She kind of stopped buying them. But no, those are pretty good. There's like the blueberry, strawberry, and like grape. I don't know if it was like grape. I don't have no idea. But no, there's like once you eat one, you can't stop. Like I keep eating them.
Yeah.
I try to not eat money as much as I should, but no, yeah. I think it's just also really hard to try to maintain all those things like your diet, like your overall physical health, like being active, and then in addition to what one already has going on, like if it's either school or work and right that like you have to find a balance, right? And I think we all deal with that to like we have to balance school enough of times to where we're doing what we need to do. We also have to balance us, right? Because like one thing that I try to keep in mind is like I guess like this is like one of the sayings that I kind of say to myself. It's like I can't be a student, I can't be a friend, I can't be a coworker, a brother, if I don't take care of myself, right? So it's like
Sure,
how
yeah.
can I, fulfill those roles, like whichever one might come up in a day, if I'm not like getting enough amount of sleep, eating the at least a decent diet, right? And maintaining my health, whether that's like through exercise or like we mentioned, like the different tools that are available out there. Because I think that's something that sometimes we let slip away in our mind of like like we keep pushing ourselves, and sometimes we just don't. We forget to like take a moment and be like just check in on ourselves, like am I doing good? Like am I getting enough of sleep? Like feel like something's off. What do you got to do? Like basically like going back to the basics,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
am I keeping my hygiene good, right? Like taking a shower or brushing teeth. There's things like that. Am I like keeping my place clean? Because of course it's like if your environment doesn't suit to be if it doesn't like what's the word I'm trying to look for, like support like a healthy lifestyle, I guess you can say. So like if you're not like I don't know, like your home is always dirty, right? Like that can like affect you to an extent at least of like your mental health, or like maybe
Yeah.
the motivation, the energy you have,
Yeah,
right?
I can speak on that. I have moments where like I will be super busy. Like last semester was probably one of the busiest semesters I've had because I was directing the pageant for Halo, and I just constantly had to do things. Not only did I have to worry about that, but I had to worry about school, and then I had to worry about work because I was paying for school. I was doing payment plans instead of getting loans, which don't recommend get loans if you can. So I had a lot on my plate, and I remember like the thing that took the toll were like those basic necessities of life, of like taking care of yourself and like taking care of your environment. And there would be days where like my house and my room would be a wreck, like I'm like I'd be so tired from all the things that I was doing that when I got home I didn't want to do anything but go straight to bed, or do my homework, go straight to bed. That was all I had the energy for at that time. And it like even it took a bigger toll on my mental health because I'd get to my house and I'd be like, I don't even want to be here. this is how bad it is, you know? And so you don't even feel comfortable in your own home. And that's when it starts, like, really taking that toll of, like, you know, I don't want to do anything. I want to stop everything that I'm doing. And, like, and you're in a moment in life where you can't stop. Like, you have to keep going. And when I was directing that pageant, like, there was no stopping. The show must go on, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, one thing that I'd advocate for is clean your room, take care of yourself, and don't put too many things on your plate. If you can't do it, don't do it. You know. And I think that was what affected me the most was not accepting loans because I thought I could do it all. But the truth is, you can't do it all. You have to take care of yourself first.
Yes, yes, I agree with you, Rosa, all that you said. 'Cause like there has been times where sometimes like I don't even wanted to go home at times, and I was like, and then like at some point I was like, wait, why don't I want to go home? It's like, oh, well, my room is not really up to par, you know, and that you know that affects of like, oh, like your motivation and things to do that. And yeah, it's like it's really important that we also keep an eye out for our environment and where we in, right? Because like, you know, if it's promoting things that are not aligning what we want, and like it's probably not a good environment to be in, right? And then some people might not feel uncomfortable about change, like changing something, whether that's like as simple as like, you know, what route you take to, I don't know, to get to work, or like how do you do a certain way when you clean the house, or so on and so forth, right? It's like I think change is also another thing that people hesitate on, because like, you know, it's something new, and it's like, you know, because it's new and something maybe something different than our original routine, that people tend to get a bit hesitant whenever they need to make those like big decisions for themselves that, you know, that they need to do, right? Whether that's like starting buying like healthy stuff, or start being more active and things like that. Yeah, it's really interesting that not many people keep those in mind, you know, because like I think they look out more externally, like on the outside, to see like, okay, like, why am I feeling this way, like what's going around. But not only is like maybe internally, but like we also have to look around of like, okay, like maybe something's going on too. But I definitely will say like the heat is not helping at all.
No,
Like
it's
no, it's
not.
like the heat is just, you know, I don't know I don't know what it does, but like it definitely
It,
gets a bit I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of like, it might be just my opinion, but I feel like the heat kind of can alter one's emotions, stuff like
yeah.
that too. Not that,
Yeah.
but the cold too. Like when it gets cold. Yeah.
I like have read studies about how heat affects people, and it makes them like more aggressive.
Oh.
And I see that like when I'm working at my job, when it is super hot outside, people are so much angry at you. Like I work in fast food, so people are just like extra angry, and I'm like, yeah, it's this heat. That's another thing that I looked at just because like I hear about climate change, and I'm like, how is climate change affecting us? And it affects people's mental health as well. Like for me, like I just like get really worried about like, hey, our Earth is dying and no one cares. Like politicians don't care. Yeah, and yeah, that's kind of it. Like people get more anxious about it. People get more angry when the weather's worse, and yeah, I've also seen other studies of like people that have like schizophrenia or like take certain medicines, like they die from how bad the heat is because their body doesn't produce sweat. And it's
Oh,
like
wow.
that's scary.
I didn't
That's
know that
scary.
was a
Yeah.
thing that could happen.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Yeah, the heat does not help, but also because also it's another thing too with like the cold. It's like during winter is like seasonal depression. Like
Oh, true. Yeah.
that's another thing too that people deal with. Like especially students like around this time of the year, like when they get closer to like November, December. It's like not only is it getting colder, but finals are coming up, right? So it's like everybody's got to lock in, got to make sure that they're you know, trying to like maintain everything and like not
Yeah.
put too much like on people's plate, like you were saying earlier, because like taking too much at a time can like you can feel definitely overwhelmed, right? And like
Yeah.
maybe make decisions that are might not be best for you in that moment. But yes, so that is. I definitely wanted to talk about mental health because I think it's something that is not spoken enough in the Hispanic Latinx community. Um, Regardless of like how we're grown up, because older generation came with the mentality that worked for them, but it doesn't work for us, like the younger generation. But yeah, it's just like with November and December coming around, like
Mm-hmm.
finals and stuff like that. That's like when I feel like people kind of start to get into maybe kind of like walk a little bit out of the path of like, oh, like forget about their mental health, right? Because it's like, oh, I gotta lock
Mm-hmm.
in, I gotta get these done, get this project done, and like these deadlines. And it's like, yes, like you can do that, but just like try not to like forget like those things, right? The many tools, right? Just like voice memos, or like whether you do therapy,
Mm-hmm.
because at least like just quickly with this therapy tool, of course not for everybody, but it's like you get what you put out of it, right? So it's like if
Yeah.
like for whatever reason like it's okay to feel uncomfortable at first, but like like maybe if like again you're like maybe not saying much, like not being that open, then you won't get much out of it. But like if you
Mm-hmm.
do, then you will get more out of it. But it's just something that you have to try for yourself. But again, not only therapy, but again, voice memos, journaling. Those are ways that you can also use to work on yourself. And there's definitely resources here. And at K State University, we have the Lafine Center, has counseling services. I'm definitely gonna throw out some resources. Not only that, but other ones that are going to also help you listeners, for anyone that you guys know, or maybe yourself that feels a certain way that maybe you're struggling to like maintain what you do every day. And then which is there's nothing wrong with that. We all go through that at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I think what would be helpful is to just provide those resources for them,
Yeah.
because it's not every day that like I think many people just like go about their day and never knowing that like, oh man, like this was a thing that we had at the school. Like
Yeah.
I wish someone would have told me sooner, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, but yeah, so that is going to be it as of now. Rosa, is there any final things you wanted to say that we talked about today?
Um,
Maybe something that you want to let our listeners know, maybe?
I'm just gonna like talk really quickly about the resources here at K
Yeah,
State.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
If you ever need help, we got student services, so go to them. And you can just look them up online. Uh, and then for Lafine, you get free therapy sessions. So take advantage of that. And then they also have like Canvas workshops and group therapy. Um, and then if you don't feel that Lafine is for you, we also have Pawnee Mental Health here in Manhattan. And I believe they're a nonprofit that helps like adjust how much therapy costs depending on how much you make a
Mm-hmm.
year. So those are just a couple of resources.
Yes, those are good resources for sure. Even though I'm learning about them just now, make sure you look into that, listener. We're gonna post these resources in our Instagram, so make sure to look out for that pretty soon after this episode launches. But yes, other than that, yeah, guys, just like don't forget to like, your loved ones, your friends, just remind them, and just remind yourself that
Mm-hmm.
just you just gotta make sure you just check in and just see how you're doing. Because as much as you might not feel uncomfortable, or you don't think about it too often, I think it's really important that we all just check in once in a while and just say like, like how am I doing? Like how am I doing? Am I doing good? Doing
Mm-hmm.
not good? Like why not? And just see why that is, and then just go from there. But with that being said, that is going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for you guys listening. You guys can check our Instagram. We post our official news and stuff like that um, on there about upcoming events, resources, anything that's going on within K State, within the Halo Club. So make sure you guys look out for that. And then yeah, that's all we got. And until then, see you guys next time.